Since vocational GCSE courses were introduced in September 2002, schools have had to learn to market the courses to pupils as well as deliver the curriculum. Ridgewood School in Doncaster is a specialist engineering and technology school, and it's currently offering vocational GCSEs in a range of subjects including catering, construction and applied science. For its engineering course, Ridgewood has developed some useful models in both teaching the subject and attracting pupils to it. This programme illustrates how students' enthusiasm for the subject is fired up by combining lessons in the classroom with exciting outdoor pursuits. Ridgewood's cross-curricular sport with engineering activity day is extremely popular, and they've found it surprisingly easy to achieve.
These things are an integral part of vocational courses, and I'm very, very keen to make sure that any vocational courses that we teach in school are true to the spirit of what is intended, because it would be very convenient and easy for teachers to lapse back into delivering normal, everyday lessons that the pupils experience all over school. The idea for the Sport Engineering Day was born from an idea from our head of PE, who was aware of the fact that as Director of Engineering I was trying to spread the engineering ethos across the school, trying to make sure that all pupils and all departments within the school benefit from the specialism. The day itself is not necessarily revolutionary in that it contains some fairly straightforward engineering activities allied to raft building, which has been done many, many times before. But it's the combination of the two disciplines together that attracted us to the idea. And we ran it initially as part of an activities week, as a fun event. It was so successful that we've repeated it ever since.
The day starts off with the pupils attending 3 separate lessons designed to give them the skills they'll need to participate in the afternoon activity.
You are going to build a raft, like the one on the laptop there, which you can have a close look at. The object of the exercise is for you in teams of approximately 10 to build a raft with a crane on it. This is where your engineering skill comes in. The object of the exercise is to get your raft from the edge of the reservoir out into the middle by paddling with your paddles, your hands or anything else you can paddle with, out to the buoy, pick up the concrete weight, which is heavy, it's seriously heavy, get it onto your raft, get it back to the side of the reservoir, dismantle your raft and stand at the side of the raft. First team to do that are the winners. There's a little bit more to it than first meets the eye.
During the first lesson, the pupils each build a model raft, which must be tested to see if it floats.
The idea of the pupils building the raft, basically, is to give them a feel for the sort of thing that they will be doing this afternoon. I don't want them to arrive at the activity centre and have no idea at all. It's just to get some of the principles clear in their minds, particularly as a result of the fact that we're putting a crane on it. Because, I mean, obviously we've seen this before. We know that it's highly likely that they'll try and lift the weight out of the reservoir, the raft will tip up, they'll all end up in the water straight away. Right, you want a woolly tip?
Yes, please.
Right. Where's the best place to lift the weight of the thing?
In the middle.
Right, you've got to make a crane that you can operate, because there's going to be 10 of you on this raft. I would suggest that you have some people on that side, some people on that side paddling, and then some people here and here operating the crane in the middle.
Right.
Right? You're going to get a rope. On the end of the rope will be a hook. In the water there is the rope with the buoy with a ring on it, right? So you can hook it on.
And then you pull it.
Yeah. So the most successful way of doing it, I think, is to make an apex. So you've got a V to put your rope over, right? And then dangle it through the middle.
Right, we're ready.
Next door, another group are learning how to tie knots.
And if you've done it right, the right-hand piece of string should be over the top of the left-hand where they're joined.
While outside, there's a team-building lesson being led by the PE staff.
What I'm going to ask you to do now is to untangle yourselves so that you are in a tangle-free human chain.
Bones, does that work?
Yeah.
We're trying to build up the communication skills. I mean, it's a teamwork exercise. You've obviously got leadership coming in here, but they really need to sort of think this through and think about the communication.
This exercise is designed to test your ability to make up a code and show that you can use it whilst relying on other members of the group. The problem is that you, a person shouting the instructions, can only use 4 words. Forward, forward, forward! Forward!
They've only got 4 words, so they've got to be very, very careful how they use them. So it gets them really sort of knitting together prior to doing the raft building this afternoon.
Forward, forward, right.
The benefits of involving the PE department are all tied in with my desire to make sure that the specialist school agenda is evenly and equally enjoyed by the whole school. But aside from that, obviously I'm looking at the educational benefits of trying to get students to see that engineering is not an isolated activity. It's something that is part of our everyday life in all subject areas in school, whether it be RE, geography, PE, whatever subject.
After the morning lessons, the pupils head off to a local activity centre, which will be providing all the necessary materials for the actual raft building.
The beauty of the Sport Engineering Day from an organisational point of view is that it's very straightforward and simple to organise. Obviously, the biggest consideration is the health and safety aspect, and I would advise that schools hand that over to a professional body.
Thank you. I'm basically responsible for the safety elements, so the book lies with me basically, so I have to ensure that all my staff are qualified, they've all had the correct CRB checks, and they all know what's expected of them, and we can, have a fun, safe afternoon. All your equipment has been put out. The barrels, ropes and crane mechanisms are all down there. Your logs are all in a line here. Please be careful when you're picking up the logs. Don't spin them round or hit anybody in the head. They are long and heavy, so a bit of health and safety, a bit of common sense.
Because that isn't going to work, trying to pull that up because it's all tangled like that, is it?
Try to pull that. Just tie them together, yeah?
Look, it's not, look, even if you lean back on it.
Yeah, but they're going to tie that end down to that, aren't they?
How exactly are we going to attach the buoy to this? Just hook it on there, or what?
Yeah, right, come here then.
We could
working windy thing.
another bit of... I'll just keep hold of that now, shall I?
You've got all you need. You've got everything you need.
The pupils gain educationally in a social way. I'm a great believer that school is about growing up, it's about developing relationships, leadership skills, working with other people, and there is a big element of that in the Sport Engineering Day.
No, we're going to redo this.
We don't, it's fine. You sit back on it like this.
Some people need to sit on the back.
Yeah, me and Jess will do it.
From a resource point of view, I mean, people may look at us and say, well, you're a specialist school, you're in a fortunate position in that you've got the funding to be able to afford resources for these types of activities. But in truth, the resources that are needed for this day are virtually nil. We're talking about a few pieces of dowel rod and pieces of scrap wood and some glue guns, things that schools would have anyway, and every authority in the country will have access to an outdoor activity centre somewhere.
Now, your LEA should have a list of all the outdoor providers in your area. If not, there's an organisation called ALA, the Adventurous Activities Licensing Authority, and they have a central database of every outdoor pursuits centre provider in the country.
We don't pick it up at all. We just lift it.
I've just been helping people and stealing rope off them.
Any subject in school, I believe, if it can be taught in an exciting, enthusiastic way, the pupils are more likely to be willing to participate and willing to learn. If pupils can see things, experience things, do things, they will learn better by doing than they will by being told about something. And in engineering, the way to learn is to do it.
Our sole purpose in this is to wreak as much havoc as we possibly can. So you've got us to contend with, right? First team with all the stuff dismantled in the compound, stood outside in a line, wins. Go!
It's very difficult to quantify the success, in terms of educational value, but just to look at the reaction from the pupils and to look at the faces, I think is enough to justify existence of the day. And certainly in engineering lessons, after the event has taken place, you can see a real surge of enthusiasm. The point of vocational courses is for pupils to see the real world, and you can't show students the real world from within a classroom. As teachers, we realise nowadays how difficult it can be and how onerous it can be to take trips out with all the legalities that are involved nowadays, but the usefulness of these things mustn't be underestimated.
I learned quite a lot about buoyancy. Yeah. It's funny how they're really big barrels, but they sink quite readily as soon as you get a lot of people on them.
I've had a good time. I mean, it's freezing, and when I had to jump in, I just froze. Oh no, it was terrible, but yeah, I had fun.
I think with the practical experience, you learn more because you have to take part in it. Because if in a classroom, you can just read through a book and not really take any of it in, because you're not going to use it at all. But coming here, you have to use what you've learned and test that you are learning something.
It's been really good today, especially the last bit today, but this morning really helped. I don't think we'd be able to do it without this morning's workshops. It's been a really good day. It's a lot better than being in classroom.
Engineering can be fun. We're trying to encourage pupils to look at engineering as a serious career pathway. And yes, there is the maths, there's the science, there's all the theoretical principles, but engineering is a fun activity as well. And that is really the main point of the day. If there are educational spin-offs, then that's excellent.
You're a bit late, mate.
We cannot wait.
The main purpose of the day is for it to be good fun, enjoyable, and as you can see, I think that it's been relatively successful. We've certainly had a good day. I've enjoyed it anyway.